Hello, everyone. Thank you for clicking on this video. My name is Kobe Cornell Boone. If this is your first time watching a video with me, I am a private equity fund manager, Boone Capital, based out of Charlotte, North Carolina, currently. We invest in real tangible assets, so land, ranches, cattle ranches, timberland, institutional timberland tracts, recreational properties, everything that has to do with land, natural resources, and the outdoors. This video today, the reason why I'm kind of sitting back is it is a very, I am a steward myself of land both here in the U.S. as well as abroad, and I am as well a heir and a steward along with several of my family members for almost 50 acres out in eastern North Carolina. And we personally, our muscadines this year that we had didn't do so well. Muscadines, for those of you who aren't familiar, is a particular grape species that's native. It's actually North Carolina's state fruit. Most folks don't know that. But it is a species that is native to the southeast. And I actually went down there this past weekend, spent time with family, loved ones, and friends, and changed out our trail cameras and all that stuff on the property. But I got to see firsthand the effects of what this drought has had, not just on my own family's property, but also the neighboring farmers I grew up with and their properties as well for this year. So the conversation of water is life, man. Like water is we as living organisms and people. I don't care where you are. If you think it's a conspiracy theory, you need water. See, don't drink water and see how many days you're gonna go. So, what I want to do today is kind of talk about it from a very real, tangible, real number standpoint. I want to share how I look at where water is today and the next 20 years, if you will, and how I approach the value of water with the properties that we acquire and hold. So I want to start off kind of reading the text real quick. So let's check this out. So everybody talks about buying land. Yellowstone, all the great TV shows, Landman, the things that have come out in the last couple of years since the pandemic, 1883 and others. But I think the next 10 to 20 years will be defined by the control of resources tied to the land. Think water, energy, food production, and infrastructure. And the numbers are starting to back that up. The U.S. Geological Survey says groundwater provides drinking water for roughly 150 million Americans and supplies about 40% of the nation's public water supply. Guys can fact check me, go look that up. U.S. Geological Survey. Agriculture accounts for approximately 42% of fresh water withdrawals in the United States, according to the USGS. Now, layer on top of that, let me go back for just a second. Agriculture, so irrigation, row crop, like soybeans, corn, sweet potatoes, all these other avenues that we explore, right? Agriculture accounts for approximately 42% of fresh water. That's significant, guys. Now, layer on top of that AI, cloud computing, population growth and demand for housing, industrial reshoring, and data centers, which we're seeing that more and more in the news now of how much water these data centers actually consume. And avenues of exploring how to cool in different ways, how cooling mechanisms for these data centers, right? So the International Energy Agency estimates global electricity demand from data centers could be more than double by 2030, driven largely by AI infrastructure. That's from the International Energy Agency. And data centers as well are incredibly water and power intensive, which is another thing that's a fact that we know as of today, 2026, May 2026. Meanwhile, states like Texas and North Carolina continue to see strong population growth, creating even more pressure on housing infrastructure, utilities, and water systems. Then you look at drought trends. So that's just the demand that we have here on the ground. Now let's look up to the sky. The NOAA and Drought.gov continue reporting increasing drought intensity and water stress across multiple regions of the U.S. I already told y'all about here in Eastern North Carolina, but you can look to Texas and going out west as well and look at some of the impacts that have happened this year with drought. I even saw a video just most recently from somebody up in the mountains of Western North Carolina who was kind of describing that this is the worst that he's seen in the last 20 years as well, for their crops that they have up there. I think they had hardwoods, and I forgot what else they were farming. Um, and again, as I mentioned, I saw this just this past weekend in North Carolina myself. So I guess what I'm really saying in this article write up that I want to share with you guys is that I am looking at not just the acreage, not just the land, not just, rights to my minerals on the property, but I am looking heavily at aquifers, streams, wetlands, timber. Man, let me go back to wetlands. Wetlands as well as flowing water, like a river, good stream coming through your property. Wetlands, timber, soil quality is a big one too. Rain, sandy loam, love it like everything else. Actual soil types that are there and what they're most suitable for. Obviously, wildlife habitat, where water is, the water equals life, organisms, animals, wildlife is going to be there. Watershed access is another big one to me. Infrastructure corridors, so where these properties are in adjacency to, as adjacent to large infrastructure and the impact that that could have, both positive and negative if you look at it from a mitigation standpoint, and long-term sustainability of the surrounding region. Like, okay, they're not just, your local government is just giving permits to everybody who walks through the door with a check, but are they looking at the long-term scalability of that particular region and its growth, if you will? Because more and more, as I'm having conversations with family offices, ultra high net worth individuals, broker dealers, whoever the case may be, is that your big boys are looking at land not just as dirt, not just as recreational property, and not even just as tax strategy. The folks I'm starting to talk to are looking at this from a food perspective, from a resource perspective, um, at scale. And again, as I just mentioned, it's water infrastructure, it's food infrastructure, it's conservation infrastructure. And I believe the operators who understand that early will have major advantage over the next generation of real asset investing. And I want to say that our mission is rooted in stewardship, faith, most importantly, conservation, recreation, and long-term enhancement of rural land assets. And to go off script a bit and just kind of share, and that was my intent of this video in particular. And if my tone sounds kind of down, I hope that's that is not my intent, but it is a serious topic when we start to talk about food. We talk about lives. We talk about, the folks across the United States who had to sleep underneath a bridge last night, right? I am a big believer in my faith personally. It is what drives me. It is my identity. It is who I am. It's the reason why I even started this company. So I see these opportunities, as well as obviously, your investors, your LPs, you want to bring a strong return to, you want to, bring back return from the proceeds of what folks have sold into you for. You want to bring that back to them. But what I find is a lot of these folks that I'm having conversations with who are excited about what we're doing and aligning themselves and capital with what we're doing is they're also interested in seeing how can they do well and also do good at the same time. How can they uh, benefit the broader ecosystem of the world and create an impact in investing? It's the difference, right? Like you could probably argue if you invest in a multifamily, I don't know, 100-unit apartment building, 300-unit apartment building, you're providing affordable housing. So one floor you might dedicate to affordable units, if you will, or something of that nature. You could argue that, but I think, um, and I know some people that do that too, actually. But when we talk about land, when we talk about food, when we talk about habitat, when we talk about wildlife, um, your local food pantries that you're able to support, some of the different avenues that I personally support and folks that I align with do as well, of donating meat from harvested animals to local food banks. And I think is one of those things that the story doesn't have to be sold. It kind of is, the story kind of is what it is. And you're able to provide an avenue for sustainability and ecological impact that's unlike just anything else. So I'm excited about what we're doing. I am mindful of the future. And even as I look at, again, we have a property that we're currently evaluating right now. We're currently underwriting this property as our flagship is 356 acres, smack in Dallas, North Carolina. I mean Dallas. I'm sorry, Texas. And the water on this property is so significant. I think I know it's more than 9 lakes on this property. There's one particular one that is 55 acres in size. And my ranch managers who are actually going to do the improvements on the property, we got a few, we got quite a few six figures of improvements needed in this property for a facelift, but it's already turnkey from a position standpoint. And they had mentioned that, man, the water is just so clear. You could see basically 20 feet down. You've got 4 pound bass that are swimming right there in front of you. It's like, man, this property is just it's slamming. And I think when you look at the possibilities, even here in North Carolina, I've seen just outside of Raleigh where multiple former rock quarry mines, the aggregate space is a big space. I know folks who are over there who are doing extremely well. Um, when you look at the optionality of these properties and what water, and especially clean water, provides, in many cases, it gets the interest of not just a direct buyer, a guy who's going to build his house on the property and go hunt it or something, but you're starting to get more to your local government. Your municipalities have interest in actually acquiring those properties back as well. Um, and its ecological impact for that area and that particular watershed as being protected. So, man, I say that all to say, and I don't want to drag this video out too long, but when you start talking about water, you start getting into the big boy stuff. You start getting into the big boy stuff, man. Because of I think just where we are, and I think the way that things are trending with population growth and food. So I'll cut the video here. I'll probably do like a part two of this because I want to say that while water is your base, if you will, while land obviously is a part of it, water is a base. If you're I hate to say value stacking, but if you're looking at the pyramid, if you will, land would probably be at the bottom, water would be next to that. I think food comes next, and I really want to focus on the food aspect. I have been blessed to meet some folks with tens of thousands of acres that are privately owned in the cattle business, in ranching and row crop and agriculture. I grew up working on the farm, in a vegetable farm, row crop, and I want to also kind of share the importance, I think, of ownership in the space of land, of food. And I think in many cases, if you aren't connected to your food, if you don't know your local farmer, you would assume that our farmers are creating all of the food, if you are growing all the food. And while independent farmers do have a significant impact, do not get me wrong, a lot of your beef, your cattle, like a lot of times those are feedlots. I'm getting into some stuff right now, but they're not actually privately held uh, ranches, if you will, and supported family-owned businesses. So I think that might be my next video. If you guys are interested in that, I would say just leave a comment below. If you're interested in what we're doing, if this is kind of like your jam, if this is type of conversations you like to have and the stuff that you like to talk about around the campfire or whatever the case may be, man, send me an email, Kobe CLLBY at boonecapital.co. Or if you would like to get on the phone call, man, and talk about how you can get involved with what we're doing. We're registered as a 506c, so accredited investors only. You can visit us at www.boonecapital.co. That's boonecapital.co. We'd love to have a conversation with you. But until then, God bless you. Until the next time, take care.